All right, all. So you finally got a new patient through the door. They come and they sit in your chair. How do you make a good impression on that patient and keep that patient coming back in your injectable practice? That's what we're going to talk about today. Keeping and retaining patients, how to make that first impression last for hopefully a long-term relationship. So almost every day in my practice, I get patients that come through the door that I've never met before. And it's a great opportunity for me to wow them and impress them and give them a little bit of my personality. Everybody that comes through the door, I've spent a lot of time and effort marketing towards them, right? Maybe building my organic network from patients. We have a referral program in our practice to where if a patient refers another patient, we give them a little something. So I might have spent some money doing that. I have Google ads running. I spend an inordinate amount of time on Instagram and social media doing content for that, all in the hopes of getting patients through the door. And once they're through the door, I want to keep them in my practice. I know that somebody comes to me, let's use botulinum toxin for an example. So they're coming to me for a tox treatment. I know in my practice that the average tox patient that comes and stays with me is worth about $1,200 a year if they just come in 3 or 4 times a year and do tox on average. I've spent $20, $30, $40, maybe $50 attracting that patient to my practice. I want to keep them for years and years to come. So how do I keep them? The most important part about keeping your patients is that first visit. I book my first patient visits for talks for 30 minutes. Why? I want to get to know them. I wow them with what's in here. Okay. I tell them about all the side effects of the talks. I talk about the different brands. We go to great detail in educating. And before I even get into the talks realm, what do? I get to know them. Say, oh, hey, welcome to the practice. How'd you hear about us? And then they'll say, oh, I found you on Google, or I found you on Instagram, or Sally next door told me about you. And we're like, oh, great. Thanks you so much. Hey, mention at the front desk on your checkout that Sally referred you. We're going to give her a little something for that referral. And by the way, that goes for you too. And they're like, oh, great. I get a little reward for referring patients. Once I get through that part of my initial visit, I say, hey, tell me what brings you in today. And we start talking. And through that, we kind of learn, we start asking questions like, well, what do you do for a living? Are you in front of other people? Are you on Zoom meetings? Do you have a husband? Do you have a wife? Do you have children? And then I'll make jokes. I'll be like, oh yeah, these lines you're talking about right here. Yeah, I call those husband lines. And then they laugh because, they're always scowling at their husbands. And then when they go like this, I go, oh, you know what? Those are your child lines. And then they laugh because the children are always like, what? What are you doing? Right? And so you just kind of make a little bit jokes. Give them some of your personality. Clients come to me because they like me. Clients come to my nurses that inject for me because they like them. Okay. And the price is important, but it's not everything. You tend to gravitate towards things you like. Let's use the restaurant industry as an example. In my area, I have hundreds of restaurants I can choose from if I'm going to go out to eat. Price typically isn't the reason I choose a restaurant. I choose restaurants based off quality, service, and the experience of the meal I'm going to have, right? And if I spend $120 for my wife and I to go eat versus $60, yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to save $60, but ultimately, the money is not the important deciding factor. The quality of the experience, the quality of the staff, the quality of everything is the most important thing. And that's how you should be in your practice. Think about the quality of the experience for the patient. Do they like you? Are you joking around with them? Are you having fun with them? If you have staff members, are they jokey? Are they having fun? Do you have a warm and welcoming presence when they come through the door? These are the reasons patients are gonna pick you, because at the end of the day, they can go down the road and find somebody that's going to do it for 20, 30, 40, maybe even $100 cheaper than you, but they're going to ultimately come to you because they like you. The hair industry is another great example. My wife will go to the most expensive person as long as they give her a good experience, where she can go get her hair done for half off with somebody else. But because the more expensive person does a better job, she's getting her hair done with that other person. So don't let price be the big thing drawing clients in. I'm going to tell you a story. When I started my practice, I thought pricing was the most important part of starting my business. So I priced my practice really low. I looked around in the industry and I saw who was injecting at the cheapest, and I went straight to the bottom. We have a saying for that, racing to the bottom. And I just jumped right to the finish line. I went right to the bottom. And I brought a lot of patients in. But guess what? They were people looking for deals, the Grouponers, the things of that nature. They came, they got a good deal, and they went on to the next best deal, right? And they practice hopped. And I realized it took me a couple of years to realize that this is not the way to build a business. As I scale, I'm going to become less and less profitable because now I have to hire people, I have to hire front staff, I have to do things of that nature. So pricing is really important. Um, for your business bottom line, and you don't want to be at the bottom. I tell nurses or others getting into the industry, you want to be right in the middle of the market. You don't want to be the cheapest person. You don't want to be the Walmart on the street, but you definitely don't want to be the Rodeo Drive either. So I like to price myself like the Target or the Dillards, where people want to go, they want to have a good experience, they don't mind paying a few extra bucks, and you can have a profitable business on the side. So that's a little digression on pricing, but let's go back to that initial visit. So they've come in, you've asked them how they found you, you've got to know them, you made a few jokes, you personalize them. Then after the visit, take a few of those personal details and put it in your chart. Like I put often in the comments, daughter's on a volleyball team, or husband just got a new job, or new grandbaby came to the family. And then the next time they come in, I can say, hey, how's that new grandbaby doing? And they're going to be surprised. Oh my gosh, I can't believe he remembered that. Yesterday, I'm in the post office shipping something on my way home, and one of my clients was right behind me in line, and she came up and said hi. And just remembering her name, she lit up. Like, oh, hey, how are you doing? And I gave her name, and she was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you remembered my name, right? And what's that going to do? She's going to come back to me because I remembered her name. I'm horrible at names, right? So put little tidbits in your charting that you could talk about the next time, and then change them. You don't want to be talking about the new grandbaby every time they come in. They're going to kind of key in on that. So new grandbaby, and then they'll say something else, and you can type that up in your chart to talk about next time. I do that all the time. It's a great way for helping you remember the patient and letting the patients know you care about more than just making a few bucks off of them. So you're getting to know your patients. The next thing to do is ask them why they came in and say, is that the biggest concern you have today? And if it's yes, that's great. What other concerns do you have other than the problem that you came in on? And I try to shift it to like maybe skin or maybe some filler. Like I never point out things I see because I can give them a complex, right? If they don't notice that they have really thin lips and their lips don't bother them, do I want to say, hey, your lips are really thin, we probably should get some filler? Hell no. I don't want to do that. Why? Because for the rest of their life, they're going to think their lips are inadequate. I don't want to give them a complex. That'd be a disservice to them. But by asking them, hey, you mentioned that you don't like the forehead lines and the lines between your eyes. What else is bothering you? Are there any other lines you don't like? You know what? I don't like these lines around my eyes. Okay. Or I don't like these bunny nose. Or, you know what? I'm starting to get a little bit of this coming down. I can fix all of that with tox treatments. Okay. And you could talk about that. Or maybe you can shift the conversation to skin and say, hey, we need to get you on a skin rejuvenation program. Maybe get you on some microneedling with some exosomes or some platelet rich fibrin. Or maybe we want to do some biostimulators for your skin and inject a dilute Radiesse or Sculptra or something like that. Shifting the conversation to other problems, what does that do? You might not be able to address it that day, but you can get them back to upsell them on something in the future. In my practice, I've done the math. I already told you a tox patient's worth about $1,200 a year. Okay. A filler patient, add another $1,000 to that. Okay. So if I get patients coming in and doing filler, lips once a year, maybe some cheeks once every other year, the value of that patient goes up to another $1,000. So now I've almost doubled the amount of value of that patient just by adding one more service. And if I can get my patients into a skin regimen, I add $2,000 to the value of that patient. Why? Now they're coming in every 3-4 months to do microneedling. Now we're selling them product on top of that. Every time they come in microneedling, we're selling them sunscreen and aftercare kits and hyaluronic acids serums and things of that nature. We can upsell the microneedling treatment, add some platelets or maybe some exosomes. Maybe we want to go from microneedling to more advanced. I have machines in my office, so we might upsell them to, maybe a CO2 laser, an Opus, or some other therapy that we have. Or I also lump biostimulators in with skin because that's what we're doing. Maybe I can get them into a biostimulator regimen as well, which is a once or twice a year regimen, adding another $1,500 per treatment. So your goal in that first visit is to A, get to know them, B, find out what the problems are, and C, offer them solutions. Okay. Don't be salesy, don't be pushy. Education. I have pamphlets all over the place. If I talk skin, I say, hey, I make sure I send them home with a pamphlet outlining the different skin therapies I have, when each is appropriate. It's great. And eventually they come back and they go, you know what? I'm ready to do my skin. Okay. If they're younger, say, hey, we need to get you on a prevention strategy. I want you to age gracefully. Let's do microneedling every 6 months. Okay. You might not get $2,000 out of them, but you can probably get another $700 out of them. Helps your business. And ultimately, it's helping them out. Okay. There's nothing better in the world than when you're 45 or 50 looking like you're 35 or 40 and everybody else is age and you have it. And you got to start young doing that kind of stuff. So those are the big tenets of that first initial visit. Make sure you're priced accordingly. Make sure you get to know them, spend some extra time going over everything your practice can offer them, find out what bothers them, and then maintain that relationship. I'm going to leave you with this. We don't let patients leave the door without a follow-up visit. I can't tell you how important that is. Putting something on the books. And they'll make objections like, I don't know what I'm doing in 3 months. Let me put you something on the books. You'll get messaging, and then you can reschedule if that time doesn't work. 9 times out of 10, they stick with their appointment. They can send their calendar, they work their life around it, and they come back in. You don't want to lose that patient. Always have an opportunity to get them to come back. The other thing you can do to keep them to come back, start a membership plan. This is something I'm actively working on in my practice. I haven't done it yet. And so I'm actually working on a membership plan to where they're paying a little bit every month. And once they're in a membership, they're going to utilize your services. So those are little tips and tricks on how to keep your patients coming back. Hope you learned a couple of things. Now go do it.